right every day. Oh, that's the federal government. Well, that is if you're a banker. And speaking of bankers, Bob Chapman, didn't we have a few banks that failed this past weekend?
I didn't see any.
I think there were in Georgia, and I think there were 3 or 4 more that failed this past weekend. Or
Well,
past
I haven't.
Friday.
I've been checking all weekend, and I didn't see anything at all. I'll have to check Bloomberg this morning. But, they announced these failures Friday night at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is when everybody's gone. And most of the media does not carry the fact that more banks failed. And so, they probably make one announcement and don't say anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it's not getting any better, that's for sure. Let's go to Linda in Ohio. Linda, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, with Bob Chapman. Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. We are Jack in California. Jack, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
I wanted to ask you, I read your most recent newsletter, and unless I'm mistaken, I thought you mentioned, it was like a 1 or 2 line segment, that you thought that housing had actually bottomed.
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
there are some areas where we're seeing a hiatus of plunging prices. And Southern California is one of those areas, but you got to remember that they had a moratorium, and some of the foreclosures have been put off. The areas that went first, which was San Diego and the Gulf Coast of Florida, they both have kind of maintained the level here over the last 2 or 3 months. But I don't think that they and Southern California and the rest of the country have seen bottoms yet. I think we're still looking at 20%. And why do I think that? I think that because we have Alta loans which are going to be failing between now and the end of the year. That is going to be, is being followed by and is in force now the option ARM loans, which are the pick and pay loans, which are going to go to the end of 2012. We also have the United States government giving...
What is an Alta loan? Bob, what is an Alta loan?
What's that?
An Alta loan, before we move on.
That's a 650 FOIC, and FOIC is a rating service, and 700 is good, and anything up to 850 is extremely good. And as you drop below 700, credit becomes dicey at 650, and under 650, it's subprime. So we still have several months of Alta loans. We have the federal government making subprime loans via the banks through the FHA, which are going to come back to bite us in about 6 months, and that's going to go on for another 2 years until they stop it. We have the pick and pay loans, which I mentioned, and we have all kinds of good quality people with good quality credit and jobs who are losing their jobs. Making, I get letters every day. My wife and I were making $250,000, and our pay has just been cut by 25%, and that's bad, but at least we still have a job, but that's what's going on. But we still can't make the payments on our house. And if the house is underwater, they got to walk away from it. So we haven't seen the end to this.
That's right.
The downside in housing overall, nationwide, will not come until the end of 2012.
Okay, we'll be right back after this 1 minute, 10-second break with Bob Chapman. We'll take your phone calls. Jim, you'll be up next. Bob Chapman, welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Joyce Riley. Thank you for joining us. We're talking to Bob Chapman this hour, and the subject is money. The subject is what are we going to do? With the flu pandemic coming at us also, that's another thing to throw into the pot. Flu.gov, by the way, is their website, and you can enter into a little contest if you'd like to do the best Flu.gov commercial. They're trying to do anything and everything they can to generate the fear and the attention for this subject. Let me go to Jim in West Virginia. Jim, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, with Bob Chapman. Uh-oh, Jim. Come on back. Let's go to Bob in Michigan. Bob, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. You two are my primary source of news and financial.
Oh, well, thank you.
I got a note here. It says U.S. Treasury approves gold dollars backed by 1 gram of pure 24-karat gold each. It comes from Peter Schiff. Is there any truth to this?
Well, I have heard rumors of that, but I have not received anything from the government. They, in fact, are going to do such a thing. In fact, I don't think the government's got very much gold left because we know we know that they have been using melt gold, which is about 90% pure, and they've been shipping it out of the country, calling it gold-related products or something of that sort. And what they do is they have it refined elsewhere and then made for good delivery. But I don't think something like that is going to happen because I simply don't want to. They don't want to base their currency on gold unless they have to.
On the back it says Money Map Report, and it also says you'll learn exactly where and when the U.S. economy is headed, how Bernanke is about to send the paper dollar into a free-fall mode, and also $200 a barrel oil in the next 3 to 6 months.
Those are far reaches, I'll say that. But, anything can happen. I'm very careful about what I prognosticate on or recommend because it's too easy to be wrong. And I do see problems. I explained them earlier in the program. And but as far as a dollar with a gram of gold in it, possible but not probable. And I'm rather surprised Peter came out with that. You better have some good proof.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob, for the phone call. Let's go to Jim in West Virginia. Jim, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Instead of doing a 1-for-3 swap like you were speaking of, do you think that they might go to cashless banking? And I'll just listen.
Ooh.
Well, it's possible but not probable because to do a devaluation and a default on credit simultaneously, and that's what I think they would do, it's going to be very difficult to implement a cashless society at the same time. 85% of Americans don't want it. They don't mind dealing with debit and credit cards for security, if no other thing. And 45% of Americans do pay their cards off every month, and the banks call them deadbeats, incidentally, if you can believe that. And so...
You've got to be kidding. Deadbeats because they pay their card off every month.
Exactly correct. And I wrote that out on the GoldSeek program here about 3 or 4 months ago. And Chris Wojak said, yes, I've heard that too. But anyway, that just shows you that they can't make money off those people. And so I think that people are not going to accept any kind of a chip or a debit or a cashless society. They're just not going to do it.
Okay, we'll be right back after this 3-minute break. I'm going to take Lloyd in Nebraska. Hang on, Lloyd, and then we'll get to our next guest, Bruce McDonald. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Power Hour. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You have a blessed day. Bob Chapman, theinternationalforecaster.com. Back in 3. Stay tuned.